Hey everybody, it's Cobra DVS here with my latest pickups video. Actually, think about, well, no, it's a fair share of pickups and packages, I suppose. But before I do get to that, I just want to make a note that I am selling a few things that I picked up a few weeks ago, and I really didn't want to sell them, but I kind of need some money for a couple things, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Now, the first things are, I think I've already mentioned these, but I got a Donkey Kong Country 3 and a Link to the Past, both for sale. I've got, oh, motherfucker. Shit, I mean, alright, let's make sure everything's okay in there. Yep. Okay, sorry about that. Next is a couple of NES games. It's Punch-Out, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and Mighty Bomb Jack. You know, this game's really not worth anything at all, so I'll probably just throw it in if somebody should decide to get any of these. Okay, so that's it for that stuff. Now, I remember a few weeks ago when I picked up those PS1 games, when I got that Suikoden, I don't remember exactly what it was called, but I think it was something like Suikoden. I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to sell the rest of them. You know, I don't even have a PlayStation, so there's really no use in me having these, so these are all for sale. All for sale. Keep in mind, they're all in phenomenal shape, but none of them have the manuals. None of them have the manuals. The first one is Wild Arms. The next one is Legend of Legaia. And the last one, which I'm going to have a really hard time getting rid of, is Lunar. You know, I mean, it's gonna be tough to get rid of this one because I was super excited when I found Lunar. So that's what I've got for sale, plus two other things that you'll see later in the video. I just don't want to spoil them yet. So let's just dive right into it. You know, while it's fresh in my mind, I'll just start with what I got today. Went to a Goodwill in a town over from me while I was in there, and you know, I've never found anything really here. I found an N64 there once, but nothing too great. Well, this time I found something pretty cool. I'll just go ahead and show it instead of just hyping it up. It's actually a Dreamcast keyboard. Yeah, I was really shocked to see this there. Every time I'm at a thrift store, I look at the keyboards, and never once have I ever seen one. But this time, I noticed the little Dreamcast here. Actually, all I saw was the D and the ST because there was a price tag over this. The price tag was $1.99. It was half off, so it only cost me $1. So I'm super excited to have a keyboard for the Dreamcast. Now I just need to get the Typing of the Dead game, and I'll be pretty stoked. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move this stuff over here so it's easier for me to get to. Hopefully I don't show anything. I'm trying to think with what to start. I guess we'll just start with the newer stuff. Two of these things are for sale. So anyway, I went to a pawn shop a few days ago. They really rarely have anything good that's old. They'll have, like, you know, a GameCube game or something like that. But this time they had some good new stuff, some 360 games, and I got 3 of them. 2 of them I'm gonna sell. 1 of them I'm gonna keep. The one I'm gonna keep is Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. Why am I keeping this? Because the game is fucking awesome. This game is phenomenal. This is my first, like, new fighting game, and I love it. It's awesome. Get it. Get that game. And then these 2 are for sale just because I got them just because they were cheap, and I figured they'd be easy to resell. The first one is Battlefield Bad Company 2, and the next one is Left 4 Dead 2. So those are both up for sale, and they're both complete. Left 4 Dead's disc is in great shape. And I believe Battlefield's is in pretty good shape as well. Okay, Battlefield's is a little scratched, but of course I'll test it before. DC Universe, the disc in Mortal Kombat here, actually it's not even in there, it's in my Xbox. It's pretty scratched. It's like, I'd almost call it heavily scratched. but it plays great in my Xbox, so pretty happy about that. And then I got a movie from there as well. It's Back to the Future Part 2. Trying to get all those. What did this cost me for these 3 games in that DVD? 20 bucks. Couldn't beat it. Alright, so now one more modern-ish type thing. This is a last generation. It's an eBay item. I won it for 99 cents. And I've heard some good things about it and some bad things about it. I figured I'd give it a try, and I haven't yet. But it's Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube. Again, for 99 cents, you really, I mean, how could you go wrong? So, there's that. And then all the other stuff is classic. All the classic stuff. Alright, so we'll start with the Super NES boxed games. The first one is the last game in this trilogy of games for the Super NES that I needed in box. So I managed to get it for a pretty decent price on eBay, you know. You know, I'm pretty happy with it. And it's Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. That's why I have the double for sale. So I've got that series all complete in box. Pretty excited about that. And then this next one is kind of a cheap game, but I picked it up anyways. And I have it for the NES. I just thought I'd try this one. It's Tetris 2. Again, complete in box. This one's in great shape. The Donkey Kong Country is in good shape too. Not quite as good as Tetris though. Alright, well these two are 2 games that I really wanted to get. I have the first one cartridge only. But I wanted to get it complete in box because that's just how I am. Plus, this completes a trilogy for the NES as well. I have the third one, which is easily the most expensive. So the other 2 are... Number 2 is expensive, but less expensive than the third, and then the first one's relatively cheap. So this is another completing a collection within a collection. It's Lolo 1 and Lolo 2 complete in box. Lolo 2 is in phenomenal shape. Lolo 1's got a little wear on it, a little wear and tear. Excuse me, but I'm happy. And that sort of made me think about something like collecting within collecting. I don't know if anybody else thinks about that, but I do. Like, let's think of an example. Like right now, what I'm trying to do is get all the Battletoads games that were for consoles, like not the Game Boy or the Game Gear or anything like that, but for home consoles. I'm trying to get them all complete in box. And right now I have Battletoads for the NES. I have both the Battletoads games on the Genesis. And I'm in the process of getting Battletoads for the Super NES, the Battletoads and Battle Maniacs complete in box on the Super NES. So that'll leave me Battletoads and Double Dragon on the Super NES, and then Battletoads and Double Dragon on the NES, which will be the most expensive. That one will. So that one might have to wait a bit. So you know, that's sort of something I like to do. Like I did it with Donkey Kong Country, and I'm doing it now. I just finished up Lolo. I'd like to do Dragon Warrior. That'll be a great one to have. Ninja Gaiden, I want to finish that one up. I've only got one more in there. Oh, I'm trying to think of anything. Contra. Contra's a big one. I have Contra 3 and 4. Or no, excuse me. Contra 3 and Hardcore complete in box. I have Contra 1 complete in box. Now I just need Super C and then Contra Force, which is a pretty pricey one. And then I'll have them all. Kind of. You know, all the older ones. Not counting PS2, I think. I think that's all of them. Yeah, I think so. So that's it for the games pickups, but I did get one more thing at a store today. It was while I was in the town over, and like I said a few weeks ago, I've basically run out of room in here. Well, I've sort of fixed that problem to a degree. I'm just going to put these NES games back real quick, and shouldn't take but a second here. Well, of course it's going to be difficult now that I have to do it under a certain amount of time. But anyways, like I was saying, how I sort of ran out of room a few weeks ago. Well, there used to be a TV in here. I took the TV out. I mean, I used it, but there's no reason that it had to be in here. I'd rather have more room for the games. So it's out of here. And then I went ahead and bought a shelf today. It was only 20 bucks, and it's a nice little bookshelf. So I'll go ahead and show you that now and show you what I've done with it. Alright, so here it is. That's the shelf. On the bottom I've got my Master System games. Here I've got my NES games, and this is a pretty cool idea, I thought. You know, I'm sure other people have done it. But if you'll notice, this is just a cardboard piece. I slide it here, so it takes up the place of about half the size of a NES box. Now what that does is it puts this row off center with the middle of this row. So let's say I want to play Battletoads. Alright, carefully pull it out. Look, now there's just a hole there, none of those games fall through, and I can go ahead and put it back. Well, it's hard to do with one hand, but you get the idea. So that way I can take these games out without having to have these games fall down through. And then up top I've got two games that I don't have room for, so they're up there for the time being. You know, eventually I'll have to find, oh, I'm sorry, and then up top is my Sega CD. I've got a little room in there for some expansion. And then up top I put my Atari stuff, my boxed Atari stuff. These are all complete in-box games, and then this is Combat, and then that's complete, the Combat is, but these are all just boxes. These two I still have to get carts for from Intellivision Dude. And there's that little Atari book thing. So it's a pretty cool shelf. It's just a bookshelf. It was only $20, so it's definitely worth it. And if anybody is trying to store NES games in box in a convenient way, I suggest this. It doesn't take up a lot of room. I mean, there's over 40 boxes in there, and it didn't take up much room. So that's what I'll suggest to you. And you know what? Make yourself one of these. It, of course, doesn't have to be, you know, a piece of cardboard. In fact, I'm sort of looking at it now and thinking I want to change it to something else that looks more, you know, aesthetically pleasing. But that's what I've got in there now. So that's all I've got recently, guys. Again, if anybody's interested in anything that I said is for sale, go ahead and just shout me a PM, or shoot me, go ahead and shoot me a PM, and I'll get back to you. But if nobody does, just consider them to be going on eBay. Even though actually the Super NES and the NES games already are on eBay, but they don't end for a while, so you got a little bit of time. So if anybody is interested, just let me know. And until then, guys, take care. And the last one, which I'm gonna have a really hard time getting rid of, is Lunar. You know, I mean, it's gonna be tough to get rid of this one because I was super excited when I found Lunar. So that's what I've got for sale, plus two other things that you'll see later in the video. I just don't want to spoil them yet. So let's just dive right into it. You know, while it's fresh in my mind, I'll just start with what I got today. Went to a Goodwill in a town. Hey everybody, it's Cobra DBS here with my latest pickups video. Actually, think about, well, no, it's a fair share of pickups and packages, I suppose. But before I do get to that, I just want to make a note that I am selling a few things that I picked up a few weeks ago, and I really didn't want to sell them, but alright, let's make sure everything's okay in there. Yep. Okay, sorry about that. Next is a couple of NES games. It's Punch-Out, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and Mighty Bomb Jack. You know, this game's really not worth anything at all, so I'll probably just throw it in if somebody should decide to get any of these. Okay, so that's it for that stuff. Now, I remember a few weeks ago when I picked up those PS1 games, when I got that Suikoden, I'm sure, I don't remember exactly what it was called, but I think it was something like Suikoden. I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to sell the rest of them. You know, I don't even have a PlayStation, so there's really no use in me having these, so these are all for sale. All for sale. Keep in mind they're all in phenomenal shape, but none of them have the manuals. None of them have the manuals. The first one is Wild Arms. The next one is Legend of Legaia. I kind of need some money for a couple things, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Now the first things are, I think I've already mentioned these, but I got a Donkey Kong Country 3 and a Link to the Past, both for sale. I've got, oh motherfucker. Shit, I mean,